Hi everyone, it's Jay Egersdorff here in what is the final fantasy football game week preview of the season. Game week 38 is right around the corner. In homage to that, I'm sat here wearing my Blackburn top as a tribute to my favourite team, and I'm also going to crack out a beer this week. So cheers everybody. It's been a great season, hope you've enjoyed it. I also think we need to drink to game week 37 because thank God that is out of the way. What a bloody awful double game week that was. 70 points for me. I'm down to 2,492nd overall, so pretty disappointing from where I was inside sort of the top 100 back in the turn of the year. So I'll drink to that and let's put game week 37 behind us as well. Okay, so on to game week 38, what I'm going to chat about today, how to make up gaps in your mini leagues, nailed on players or differential players for the final game week, what to do about David De Gea. I'm going to chat about captaincies, options. I know a few of you have tweeted me saying you've got the triple captainship still. And I'm going to analyse some of the fixtures and just work out some of the psychology, maybe trying to pick out a few teams that might do quite well on Sunday. So let's start there. I talked about it in last week's video, I really like teams who on the final day of the season have a home fixture, particularly teams that have succeeded this season or done well or outperformed where maybe their fans expected them to perform. There's going to be a party atmosphere at these grounds, and typically on the last day of the season we see a lot of goals, so I'll put that in context. So the game week that we've just looked at, game week 37, all those matches, so there was the best part of 15, 16, maybe more matches. There was 31 goals. Game week 38 last season, where there was every team playing just once, there was 36 goals. So you can see the last day of the season, teams are usually a bit more relaxed, there's rotation going on, teams might give young players a run out or players that haven't played so much during the season. And like I said, that party atmosphere, throw all those things into the mix, maybe a bit of warm weather, and that adds goals to the mix. So I'm looking at Burnley. Their match at Turf Moor on Sunday is sold out. It's sold out earlier in the week, so clearly the fans are going to head down there to celebrate Burnley's brilliant season, and I think there'll be goals in that game. Liverpool, likewise, they're going to want to cement that Champions League spot in style. Brighton are safe. They've not really got anything to play for. Liverpool do need at least a point to get into the Champions League. They're going to want to send the Anfield faithful home for the season in great high spirits, ready for that important Champions League match in a couple of weeks. Huddersfield v Arsenal. I think this one could be quite tricky to predict. So you've got a number of factors here. You've got this party idea with Huddersfield have stayed up and they've had a couple of brilliant results, haven't they? Who saw that Man City and the Chelsea result coming? But it's also Wenger's last game. Arsenal's away form's terrible. That's pretty tricky to call, that one. So I'd tread a bit carefully, even if you are thinking of Arsenal players. And I also feel that the Crystal Palace game is hard to call. West Brom are the form team in the league. It's like night and day how they've gone from being so bad under Pardew to so good under Darren Moore. And I think that West Brom have only conceded 3 goals in 5 games. So if you're thinking about getting Zaha and maybe somebody like Van Aanholt in, who's on form scoring quite a lot of goals, don't write off West Brom. It's not an easy game. You've got Man City, who are looking for 100 points, and Southampton are pretty much safe, but they're not going to want to get beaten too heavily. I think that would be almost a miracle if they were to go down. It's something like a 10-goal swing they need on the goal difference. And then you've got the lads at United. Mourinho's already said that he is going to rotate players. So you've got guys playing for their FA Cup final places. So that could add some interesting things there. I do think we're going to see rotation, particularly at Chelsea and Man United, because of this FA Cup match the following week, and those guys all played midweek too. I also think we might see some rotation at Leicester, so they can only I don't think they can go down anywhere in the league. They can only go one place above. So I wonder if maybe they've got a few injuries, maybe a few fringe players might get a chance to play as well. So just tread a little carefully with Leicester. Let's move on to the next bit, which I want to talk to you about players that you might just want to get in for one game week, differentials that maybe your opponents haven't got. So if we talk about goalkeepers, I think there's two that could be quite interesting. Romero. So Jose has already said that De Gea isn't going to play. And Adrian, he's down to 4 million. I couldn't believe it when I saw that. He's on really good form. He's had 2 clean sheets in a row. He's making lots of saves. And they play a shot-shy Everton team who are lacking Walcott and they're lacking Rooney, who are both injured. So their strike force is going to be weakened quite considerably. There are a couple of good goalkeeper options. In defence, a couple of Liverpool fullbacks for me that I think represent bargains. Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. They both offer attacking potential as well. In midfield, I've picked up 3 that I really like. Martial, playing for his FA Cup final place, and Jose said he will start. Fernandinho at Man City is available for 5 million. He scored 2 goals in 3 games. And an old favourite of mine, one of Wenger's favourite players, I'm pretty convinced will play, and there's a lot to thank Wenger for. He really brought him out of lower league football, and that's Aaron Ramsey. I think could do well for Arsenal. In the forward line, similar to Martial, I think Rashford is worth a look at Man United. And I also think Jose Perez, I couldn't believe these stats. These are brilliant stats. In the last 7 games, 4 goals and 2 assists. And this guy's available for circa 5.5 million. So if you've got Barnes like I have, and he's injured, the Burnley chap, maybe Perez could be a good option for you against Chelsea, who are probably, like I said, I think going to rotate and not necessarily play their star players. David De Gea. So what do you do if you have David De Gea? Well, I've talked there about 2 good goalkeepers that you could switch him out with. I really don't think, though, if you've got a good sub, so I've got Matt Ryan, not ideal, he's playing Liverpool away. But I think a -4 in the last game week is really tough unless you're going to do something pretty exciting with the money that you're able to raise. And goalkeepers, because they're not hugely valuable, it's only going to free up maybe a couple of million, even if you've got a budget level replacement for De Gea. You basically got to get a clean sheet just to get your money back or just to get your points back. So to me, I think that's a bit of a risky strategy. I'd be careful doing too many -4s for the final day, because you're relying a bit more on luck. You haven't got the subsequent games to make back the points. Mini league strategies. So I've had loads of tweets about this. How do I catch up a lead? So some people are 10 points behind. I once caught a mini league up going into the last day of the season when I was 40 points behind, which sounds pretty mad. It was reliant on the captain choice, and I got a bit lucky. It was that year a few years ago, if you remember, Walcott got a hat-trick on the last day of the season. So yeah, it was pretty fortunate and pretty risky. So if you're going to do bold moves like that and switch a captain choice out, you've got to prepare for it to go wrong as much as it is to go right. Remember that every point on the last day of the season counts. So again, I've had an example in the past a long time ago where it was a booking for Fellaini, and I think it's when he played for Everton. It was that long ago, and it wasn't credited at full time. There was a mix-up with the data, and it got added on a few hours after the full-time whistle, and I literally dropped, I can't remember, but it was hundreds of places in the rankings just off a 1-point loss, because it's that tight. If you think there's 6 million players playing the game, people have all got probably similar, couple of thousand points, all about the same. So 1 point makes a big difference. So I think what you need to do, quite simple, get a pen and paper, and you need to look at the gap between the points per player that you have in your team, the unique players. So if, for example, you've got 11 players, 4 are the same, you've got 7, and divide that number by the gap. So if it's 70 points, you need to make back 10 points per player, for example. And then with your pen and paper, just work out approximately what you'd expect that player to get. So let's say if it's a Man United defender this week, you probably expect to get 6 because you think they're probably going to get a clean sheet. You can back that up by looking at the points per game tab in the game, so you can see that what's that player's average score. And you can just sort of jot down and get a feel for, if the results go how I'd expect, approximately what are their 7 players going to get and what are my 7 players going to get, and then you can sort of look and see how tight how tight it's likely to be. And like I said, avoid a -4 unless you really have to. So I've also won leagues over the years by literally 1 or 2 points on the final day. It's come down to really thin, fine margins. So believe you can definitely do it, but give a bit of thought as to what you do. The other thing I'd add to that as well is we're talking about fine margins here. So if you've got 1 free transfer, it makes sense to transfer in a midfielder because they've got the most options of scoring points. So if you transfer in a defender and you let in 2 goals, straight away you've lost a point. Forward will only get 4 points for a goal, midfielder will get 5, and he'll also get the benefit of the clean sheet point as well. So when we're talking fine lines, these are the things that might make the difference for you. Finally, captains. So we've got 2 really good options. We've got Salah, home to Brighton. We've got Kane at home to Leicester. I think either of those is fine. Salah, the obvious one, because he's the top scorer and he's going to want to sign the season off in style. I think Sterling still represents a great option at City, as does Jesus. Sterling, of course, has the advantage of the extra rest. He didn't play midweek. We talked about Arsenal, so maybe you'd look at Aubameyang, but I still think Huddersfield are going to be hard to beat at home, and they're definitely not going to want to roll over. Wenger's not going to want to lose in his last game, so could we see maybe a score draw there or a low scoring draw? Possibly. So that's where I think about the captains. And then finally from me, thank you everybody for tuning in this year and thanks for your support. It's brilliant that we've gone from, I think I started doing these videos probably just before Christmas time, so I've gone from obviously nobody watching them to 5,000 subscribers and a whole bunch of new followers on Twitter. I've just fired up in the last week an Instagram account where I'm going to stick stuff on there which are to do with my 2 favourite things, football and beer. So if you're into that sort of stuff, have a look at that as well. And I talked about it last week. My piece that I've done for the BBC is going to be broadcast in the next couple of months, and that's a piece that I've done talking about the benefits of playing fantasy football. So hopefully you'll all enjoy that, and I'll stick up a quick video to let you know when that's likely to be. So I've got some pretty big things that I'm planning and looking at doing for next season. So I'm looking forward to sharing all those plans with you whenever I iron them out. One of the things I'm really passionate about doing is helping people get better at playing fantasy football. So I don't like just giving people the answers because that's pretty boring, but I am pretty enthusiastic about helping people in the strategy side, so stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested in me doing more about, let me know, and that's something I'm going to do some work on over the summer as well. So enjoy your last game of the season. You're nearly there, you're nearly at the finish line. Enjoy it and don't be too disappointed if things don't go your way. And thank you again for watching and have a great weekend. Cheers.